There you go.
All right. Welcome to the Pro Football Doc Sports Injury Central podcast. Our live format here, 7 p.m. Eastern Time Monday, 4 p.m. Pacific. This will be our schedule for the time being until the season gets going. We are still going to have a few more guests. It's always hard to schedule. We got Taylor with us here. Doug's with us on the back end. I actually just talked to one of our podcast guests, Rodney Harrison. He's going to go into the Chargers Hall of Fame or Ring of Honor, whatever you call it, long overdue. He should get into Canton as well, as Coach Belichick has said on many an occasion. But it's just a matter of scheduling him to do it. What do you think about Rodney Harrison in the Hall of Fame in Canton?
First off, Doc, I'm looking at my outline here. You stole my first topic, so I'm glad we're like on the same wavelength right now.
Well, you missed a rehearsal meeting where you did the run through for the program.
Yeah,
we don't do that.
I have a big. Yeah, we just talk conversationally. Yeah, and we always have our stuff ready to go though. But first, I guess a quick question. When he goes to the Hall of Fame, which team is he going to pick? Because is he going to pick the Patriots because he won the title there, or where he started with the Chargers? I guess that's not a great question. I might know the answer already, but
I hope he picks the Chargers. Should I break news? No, I shouldn't break news.
I'll be quiet.
Okay, be quiet. All right, I'll say something neutral.
Yes, that's
look, he had a great Chargers career. He had a great Patriots career. I think he might have played for the Chargers longer. Am I right or wrong about that?
I can check that for you. Yeah, pretty close. Yeah,
but the Super Bowls with New England. I mean, he was a great player with the Chargers. Probably got more headlines with New England. I think he goes in with the Patriots, not only because that's where he ended. That's where most of his fame. Coach Belichick's been pushing him. I mean, I love my Chargers, but I think they're late to the party. How have they not gotten him into the Ring of Honor before this?
You're correct, though. 8 years on the Chargers and 5 on the Patriots. So, yes, he was there longer in San Diego. Yeah.
Suffice it to say, I was lucky enough to have attended Rodney Harrison's retirement party from the NFL. And there's recency bias in this. I mean, his last team was with the Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
There was some Chargers representation. But there was way more New England representation, be it in people and party decorations, if that gives you any
Mm-hmm.
hint. And I have not asked Rodney that question. I know what his answer would be. It might be at most a great question to tackle if he gets into the Hall of Fame. No one's going to say, oh yeah, this is what I'm going to do when I get in the Hall of Fame. So even if he gets on the podcast, but if a sports book has odds, take the Patriots.
As subtle and neutral as possible right there. Yeah.
But that's just my opinion, right? That's not him saying anything. So we're allowed to have opinions. But yeah, to me, it's pretty clear, even though it's 5 years with New England, it's the 5 years in New England that's going to get him in the Hall of Fame. And I think he would go in as a Patriot. You know, it used to be, there's some players, obviously I'm San Diego biased, that say, I'm going to go in as a Padre because there's fewer Padre people,
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot of New England Patriot people, but there are a lot of Charger Hall of Famers from this era. I mean, Antonio Gates this year, obviously LaDainian Tomlinson, obviously Junior Seau, and hopefully Phillip Rivers. So it's not like there's no Chargers players. But I think he goes in as a Patriot if his retirement party is any indication.
That's an interesting thought, Doc. Because there's so many like the new Patriots of late. Like if he went as Patriot, he might get overshone by once already in there. If he went as a Charger, like you said, there's not that many. But you did mention there is.
Well, when he does go in, I think the Patriots should play the Chargers in the Hall of Fame game.
There you go, just to decide. Winner gets to
maybe the winner of that is the uniform he wears. No, I'm just joking.
Yeah, that's funny. But Doc, just real quick before we jump into stuff, I want to promote our sick picks. Betting picks are powered by Injury Insights at SickScore.com. Go to SickScore.com and get the sick picks. Powered by Doctor Insights, Injury Insights, all sports going on right now. And
even WNBA, which we've been hot at.
Absolutely. We'll talk about the superstar Caitlin Clark in a little bit. I also want to bring up, Doc, we're churning away at the injury guide right now. We have 300 plus players, Doc. I just counted today. So that's a lot more. That's about 50 plus more than last year. So we'll constantly bring Injury Insights with that huge.
You think we'll break 100 pages? Last year was 80 something.
It was 80 plus, right? So we'll see, right? But that's coming as well. We're working on that. All right, Doc, I want to start first. So
don't tell me you're going to ask me about the hot dog eating contest.
I won't, but people need to be prepared that it's coming up very, very, very soon. So
Joey Chestnut's back in. He's back in.
So everybody will be watching that. But Doc, you did go on McAfee this week to talk about Tyrese Haliburton. You did get upstaged later in the week, though, by Aaron Rodgers coming in, right, with his news on McAfee saying he's pretty sure 2025 is his last season. That's good news for us, too, because a lot of people a couple of years ago thought he was done, right, with his Achilles, but you were one of the first people to say otherwise.
Well, look, let's not flatter me in the situation. Aaron Rodgers did not come in and upstage me later in the week. Yeah. The next guest he had on upstaged me. I mean, Boston Connor upstaged me next. Ty Schmidt upstaged me next. Yeah. I mean, Pat McAfee's great. Love those guys. And obviously, some questions about Tyrese. It was pretty obvious that it was torn. Mm-hmm. But I think the takeaway from that is, I said, one of the questions that we were talking about is, number one, the relationship to the calf/Achilles tendonitis. Right. The Achilles tendonitis was never discussed by the team or anybody. That was our assumption based on video, based on the tape job, etc. And but in any case, it is related. And we talked about the higher chance of rupture. And should he have played? And I said, look, he's a dog for wanting to play. And as long as he was explaining the risk, it wasn't a astronomical, you're likely to tear your Achilles tendon if you play. It's your multiples, 50 times or more likely to tear your Achilles if you play. But the chances of tearing your Achilles are minuscule, and they become, bigger with this. And after 5 games, it happened. And Tyrese Haliburton himself indicated afterwards in a post after surgery that he would do it again. In other words, he knew about it and he would do it again, even with the consequences of basically missing next season. But I'm thrilled that we no longer talk about, will he come back? I mean, that was the story when Kevin Durant injured his Achilles.
Will he be the same again?
2019 with Golden State. Will he be the same again? And he's been the same. Now he's moved around a few teams now again, but he's been Kevin Durant. I expect Tyrese Haliburton to be the same. I expect Jason Tatum to be the same, and Damian Lillard. Kobe wasn't, because he was at the end of his career. Aaron Rodgers, okay, maybe he's at the end of his career, and maybe Kirk Cousins too, but no offense, but Aaron Rodgers does not need to be nearly as dynamic
on the road
as Tyrese Haliburton or Kevin Durant, etc. So it's just bad news for next year, but what are you going to do? The McAfee crew's great. They're fun. I almost tried to go and talk a little more about it. How do you think it would have gone over? Because that was an on-the-fly interview where they called me, and I almost didn't answer. It was one of his assistants it was a random cell phone. Here comes another cell phone call. I almost didn't answer. He said, "Oh yeah, Pat wants to have you on. Can you jump on here in a few minutes?" I'm at the hotel and at the Holiday Inn Express where my son's team is staying. Yes, it was a Holiday Inn Express. And he goes, "Oh, well, can we just FaceTime you?" I'm like, "Well, I have an Android." And then we're doing a Zoom. And finally I called back and was here. My son has an iPhone. FaceTime him/me. And the wall you see is the Holiday Inn Express. How would it have gone over if I would have said to Pat McAfee, "I'm a doctor and I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night"? Would that have gone over well or no?
It would have been good if you said it in the same sentence as the diagnosis too. Like say it's the Achilles tear. I know this because I stayed at a Holiday Inn.
Yeah, but if you have to explain the joke that I'm at the Holiday Inn Express, actually, then it's probably not funny, kind of thing. And I'm not sure how old that reference is, the Holiday Inn Express reference.
I think I'm grief, maybe, yeah.
You give me grief all the time that I make old references, and I was like, I don't know how old's that reference. And by the way, if you are a doctor and stay at a Holiday Inn Express, does that make you a double doctor, or does it negate and you're no longer a doctor? I don't know.
Cancel you out, maybe, yeah. That's
no, I got nothing against Holiday Inn Express.
Right.
But the rooms were getting remodeled, and so there's a little noise. And so my son says to me, he's 12, he goes, "Has our room been remodeled or not?" And I kind of look at him like, "You obviously have not stayed in a Holiday Inn Express."
Yeah.
Look, this is new decor and it's a flat screen TV. Okay. I mean, yeah, that's definitely been remodeled.
Right. It's newer. Yes. Doc, just looking at there's a big trade happened today between Aaron Rodgers, Steelers. It always keeps on when we go through each team. Your big thing about the Steelers is that they're going all in this year, right? Just that there's an aging defensive group. They flipped Minkah Fitzpatrick for Jonnu Smith and Jalen Ramsey. Yes. First off, I want to talk about Jonnu Smith. This is his third time with Arthur Smith. He was with him in Tennessee, Atlanta, and now Pittsburgh. So,
are they related? Just kidding.
His long lost
same last name, no relation. That's what you're supposed to say as a journalist.
And then the next one, Jalen Ramsey, Doc. I want to mention that you have past beef history with him. Bring that up, by the way. I want you to talk about that before we talk about the trade.
There is no beef.
No beef.
In the end, he was right. He came back quicker than perhaps I thought he would.
Absolutely.
From a meniscus repair. All I was doing was pointing out this is a meniscus repair. He might not come back this season. And if he does, it's going to be a subpar season. And I wasn't doubting Jalen Ramsey's ability. I was commenting on what a meniscus repair entails. Look at JJ McCarthy at quarterback, did not return to play at all from a preseason meniscus repair.
Right.
Could he have? Maybe. He's a rookie, a different situation. So I wasn't doubting Jalen Ramsey. I was just putting out the realities of a meniscus repair situation. If anything, I set him up to be a complete hero because he kind of beat some of the estimates. Yes. And but I actually found it interesting because when he replied, and look, he had a little bit of.
You were on a podcast, right, Doc? It was I Am Athlete, or was he responding on I Am Athlete?
I don't remember which way it went, but I know head coach commented on it, was asked about it, and kind of look. I don't think I'm controversial at all. If anything, Jalen Ramsey should say, "Thanks for pointing out the realities, but I'm still beating that timeline," right? I wasn't doubting him personally, but look, Jalen Ramsey, I'm sure if I had a full conversation with him, would be the same as Odell Beckham. Odell Beckham thought I was coming at him. I was not coming at him. Once I explained the situation, we've gotten to be, as you know, relatively, text pals and phone pals a little bit. I'm just setting the reality. If anything, it's setting up Jalen Ramsey to be more of a hero. And look, these athletes are successful because they have an edge. You hear about Tom Brady. "Oh, you drafted me that low? Okay, I'll show you," right? I mean, this random doctor is going to doubt me. I'll show him. I get it. And that's part of what makes them great. And so I don't have any animosity to Jalen Ramsey. I hope he doesn't towards me. If anything, he won the battle. He played well and early on. And hopefully, and this is going to get me in trouble with him again, meniscus repairs, even when healed, have a higher tendency of re-tear. That's a medical fact. I hope that does not happen for Jalen Ramsey. It's kind of like Tyrese Haliburton. When you have Achilles tendonitis, it's a higher chance of rupture. I hope that does not happen, right? I'm just pointing out medical reality and facts. Hopefully it doesn't get me into trouble. But this whole thing does support what we said on previous podcasts. The Steelers knew Aaron Rodgers was signing. Why did they wait for him? Because he's only costing them $10 million. Can you get another quarterback for $10 million? With this $10 million contract, you know, it probably helped them get Jalen Ramsey. The Dolphins ate a little bit of money, but to make it work, the Steelers paid the rest of the contract and bumped Jalen Ramsey's salary by $1.5 million, right? And these are some of the backroom machinations that have to work out. And part of, you know, Steelers fans weren't happy about Aaron Rodgers not signing and saying what the Steelers are doing. And you and I were talking about, they have to have a plan. They're going all in. They have an aging defense. They're trying to push all in. You know, Rodgers is the missing piece, and he comes for relatively cheap. I mean, do a poll of the starting quarterbacks in the NFL. $10 million is, other than Brock Purdy for the last few years, might be a bargain of all bargains, right? And therefore, it gives them some room. And maybe this is what gives them room to do what? Extend or get TJ Watt, right? They're not going to let TJ Watt go. They're pushing all in as best as possible. Yes, they let Minkah go, but that was to get Jonnu Smith and Jalen Ramsey, which they perceived to be an upgrade. Bottom line is they're not letting TJ Watt go.
And what you always say too, Doc, there's always a plan. Even when you said about the Derek Carr situation, right, with people not understanding why, well, is he going to retire or not? There's always a plan. This plan was probably set in place for multiple months, and now it's coming into
And I'm not suggesting that every plan works out.
Right.
I'm just saying that there is a plan, right? That it's well thought out by the team. They're just not flying by the seat of their pants. They're taking the information that they have and making an informed decision of which way they want to go. Just the general public doesn't always know. Were they supposed to tip their hand and say, look, yeah, we're going to sign Aaron Rodgers because he's coming a little bit cheaper and we're pushing all in. And then once we get Aaron Rodgers, we're going to try and get other people as well and tip their hand and change the trade dynamics. No, they're not going to do that. They're just going to sit quiet with what's happening. Were the Saints happy to? They kind of knew, I think, what was happening with Derek Carr, but did they want the world to know ahead of time? No, they wanted to be able to draft at will and not have the pressure of knowing that they would have to draft a quarterback or what have you. So there's all these games that are played behind the scenes.
And to go back to the Ramsey situation, it always reminds you of that story you told me about, like, I believe it was Mitchell Schwartz, the offensive lineman, just about like what you do in the media and you talk about the injuries. A lot of these players may like it or they like what you're saying because you're showing what they're going through, while other, you know, in the back end, our media is saying, why isn't he playing with his knee injury? And you're like, this knee injury is hard for him to play with. And I think a lot of players respect that comes from something like you.
This is the benefit of live podcast. See, I don't try and always check my phone, but Howard Balzer texted me, Hall of Famers don't pick a team. They just get enshrined for their career. They don't go in as a Patriot or any team for Pro Football Hall of Fame. Baseball is different. Okay, that's true, Howard. And if you're still listening, I know that the bust is supposed to be of the year of their greatest pinnacle year. For example, LaDainian Tomlinson's bust was supposed to be the year that he was league MVP and set the single season rushing record, right? And Junior Seau had to be a pinnacle point of his career, not the end of a career. Well, I would assume that Rodney Harrison's bust will, not that he looked that much different at the Chargers and the Patriots, but when he was a Patriot. And of course, the bust doesn't have a helmet on it. But at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, this is a question to Howard. You can put it on the chat or text me. Put it on. I think there's a way to ask questions or whatever. Put it on the chat. There are banners. I mean, when Junior Seau, and when other players enter the Hall of Fame, there are banners with them in a uniform. Who decides that uniform? Is it the player or is it the Hall of Fame? I don't know. But fair point, Howard. They're not going in for exactly a certain team.
That makes sense. Okay.
I guess the other question is, if there's one team invited to play in the Hall of Fame game, will it be the Patriots or the Chargers? Maybe it's both. I don't know. Howard's on the selection committee, so he knows way more than you or I do. But thank you for that, Howard, for pointing that out. And there you go. So I didn't break any news anyways, because he's not picking a team. And I know you don't pick a team, but there's a team that you're more associated with, I guess.
Yeah.
But he's right. That was my bad. You don't pick a team per se, but you'd have to say the year, if you have to pick a year or two that makes him Hall of Fame worthy, it's going to be his time with the Patriots because of his success.
Yeah.
Right. I would assume. So anyways, thank you, Howard.
All right, next topic, Doc, that was brought to your attention. So Jalin Hyatt, wide receiver for the Giants. He's a former speedster from Tennessee, drafted 3rd round. This offseason, he gained 23 to 25 pounds. He went from 171 to 195. And there's had a lot of questions going around media. You've been asked personally. What does that do to your body? He did say personally that he had to learn to run with this new weight because he used to be a, steep threat, down vertical threat at Tennessee. How does this change medically your body? Are you susceptible to soft tissue muscle injuries? And just in general, how can this affect you playing when you're not used to playing at this weight?
Well, we can talk about it. It's a good question. And I think one of the guys, I think it might have been Big Blue View. They're the ones that DM'd me and asked the question. And I asked for some pictures, like, when you put on 20 some pounds, 23 pounds, whatever it is, where does it go? Now, obviously it goes to your gut and your belly. That's not good. And I'm not saying that that's the case, but is it in his legs? Is it in his arms? Is it both? How does he look before and after? And I don't know that I got any real good pictures yet, but let me answer this in a roundabout way. Number one, okay, pardon me here, but I'll get back to the point. My point is 20 some pounds is a big deal. How will it affect Jalin Hyatt? Depends. Does it make him more durable in the NFL? Maybe, probably. Can he take hits better? Maybe, probably. The issue, so that's good. The issue is, how does it affect his speed and quickness? Even he has admitted he's got to learn how to run with this, right? And think of it this way, Taylor. How would you do if you had to do whatever physical sports activity, a hike, a run, a this, that, the other, with a 10-pound backpack on your back? Doesn't it change your performance?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Now, the reason why I said 10 pounds is you can also theorize because of the muscle, it helps him. Because if he's put on muscle, which is the assumption, it helps him. Okay. And 20 pounds is a lot in an off season. So kudos to him.
What's the normal weight in off season, Doc? If you were trying to, I guess, to do it, 20 pounds is a lot. What is a normal, like 10, 15 or?
Well, look, part of it is this. It depends on what's normal for who and what. Now, if the guy, don't tweet at me, he's using steroids. I'm not saying that, okay? But let me tell you, if someone worked out hard and was on a regimen, weightlifting and doing other things in fitness their whole life, 23 pounds in an off season is an incredible lot to put on in one off season. Someone who hasn't done that a lot could indeed put on 23 pounds, right? I mean, just because they hadn't been working for the bulk and for the strength and the muscle. They've been working more on speed. He's what, 170, you said, and he's what, 6 feet tall? How tall is he? 6 feet?
Yeah, he's 171 to 195. Yeah.
And he's 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
Okay, besides the analogy of all of us working out or taking a walk with a weighted vest or, a backpack, a hike or something. And I'm only saying 10 pounds because the other 10, 13 pounds of muscle helps you maybe. So I'm not trying to load on a 23-pound backpack. That obviously would be even bigger. My point is even 10 pounds slows you down. Let's go to like we talked about, me, I can't help it looking at analogies. What's another 2 analogies that are out there? We've talked about how I don't care what NFL players say. They may not be the ideal body type for flag football in the Olympics because they do have the extra 20, 25 pounds. The extra. Tyreek Hill, if he weren't 195, I think that's about what he is, and he were 170 something, I'm not sure he makes it in the NFL. He needs that bulk.
Yep.
But that extra 20 some pounds probably, no offense, Tyreek, love you, hurts you for flag football.
Slows you down. Yep.
For the ultimate little bit of quickness. So the analogy is there are football bodies and flag football bodies.
Yeah.
And if Jalin Hyatt wanted to play flag football, he'd stay at 170. He's trying to play in the NFL, so he gets up to 190 something, right? And so that's the question is, does it affect his speed and quickness? And I haven't seen him running routes to know. That's the question. If it does not, it will tremendously help him. And that's why he's saying he's trying to run. So another Tyreek Hill, flag football, but this time track. He made some news. He's trying to race Noah Lyles. He beat his brother in a race. 10.10. Pretty good time for 100 meters.
Pretty good, yeah.
Okay, that's not going to beat Noah Lyles, at least at his best. But it's very impressive. Okay? If Tyreek Hill wanted to try and beat Noah Lyles, what he probably should do is Tyreek Hill weighs 195. Noah Lyles weighs about 170.
Okay. 191 Tyreek Hill. I looked it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
191. Close enough.
Yeah, you're good.
Tyreek Hill 191, 5'10. Noah Lyles 5'11, 170. Okay, go ahead and correct me. And we know Google isn't always accurate. I'm just giving approximations.
Yeah.
If Tyreek Hill ultimate goal was to only beat Noah Lyles, he should shed 20 pounds and race at 170-ish. He still have the speed and he'd be that much quicker. The fact that he ran 10:10 at 191 or whatever he's at is very impressive.
Yeah.
That's the weight difference, right? And you're splitting hairs, a few tenths of a second in track. That's a big deal, but that's the concern. I didn't mean to go such a long-winded answer on Jalin Hyatt. It depends on where he put on the muscle and how his frame holds it, how it affects his speed and quickness. If it doesn't affect his speed and quickness or slow him down, this is tremendous upside for him.
And Noah Lyles is 154. So, like you said, it's 191 versus 154 right now.
He's 154, Noah Lyles?
They're saying 5'11. Where you said Google might add, yeah. So 154, 5'11 is what I'm looking at.
That seems very light.
Yeah, he does seem
5'11, 154. I'm throwing the challenge flag on that one.
All right. What do you want to give him? 162, 163? What do we?
I'll take over 162.
Okay, good.
Now, there's no way he's 154.
Yeah. That's like the
challenge flag. I need a ruling.
Yes. All right,
yeah,
Doc.
Google's, he just doesn't look that. That's all I'm doing. Especially if he's 5'11. Do you know how skinny 154 is for 5'11? I mean, 154 at 5'11 is a cross-country runner, not a sprinter.
Yeah, that's a little too small. Yeah, you're right.
I mean,
Yeah,
I'm just saying,
yeah,
I don't know that he don't
yeah,
look 154, all
right,
right? Especially if you believe that he's 5'11.
right. No, I agree.
But anyways, you get my point.
Yes, I
Flag
do.
football, the tackle football, the weight, track versus football, the weight. Jalin Hyatt, the weight.
No, and that's like what you said. It's a good thing that what you said is if he was playing flag football, he would have stayed at his weight, but he's playing in the NFL, so he's going up.
Yeah, and I think it can help him with,
Yeah.
sustaining hits, breaking tackles, being stronger, all of that stuff.
Right.
But burner speed and quickness, I hope it doesn't affect him.
He's still there. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just before we go to MLB, Doc, I want to make sure that people are looking at our MLB daily picks, sick picks. You can find them at sickscore.com. Big news today: Bryce Harper is returning from his wrist injury. Ohtani is continually, like we talk about, I'll bring him every time we have a start. He's gradually getting better. The one thing I will say, Doc, he threw his hardest pitch he ever threw in his life. So I don't know if he's getting better, but he did register 102 miles an hour plus on the gun. So he's getting there. But like you said, Doc, he's nowhere near 5 innings at all yet. Hasn't even got to 3 yet. So we'll see that.
Kudos to the good rehab he's doing. That's how he got to 102. Okay.
Yes.
Now, Bryce Harper, it was his right wrist?
Right wrist, the same wrist he's had issues with in the past. Yeah. So he'll be back from that. And then just a Dodger pitcher update. You still have Glasnow. He's in his second rehab start. He'll have multiple rehab starts coming up, they said. He'll be back soon. Blake Snell's throwing bullpen session, and Sasaki from his shoulder is still rehabbing. So a lot of pitchers on the mend for Dodgers. All their insights are at sickscore.com. Okay.
Harder for Harper to pull the ball, harder to hit a home run. He's a great hitter. He might go with the pitch the other way. Harder to pull the ball and turn on it with his lead right wrist.
So under extra base hits or under total bases first game back?
I don't know what the numbers are. I hope he strikes out. It's the Padres.
There you go. Yes.
I hope he gets fooled on, breaking stuff
We're
away.
going against each other right now, Doc. That's right.
Yeah.
All right, Doc, what everybody's been waiting for, WNBA. Oh, just to plug in the sick picks. WNBA, like you said before, doing very, very well. It's our first year doing daily WNBA picks. We've been releasing them, have edges as they come. One of the edges, too, is going against the Indiana Fever of late. You released a video on YouTube Shorts, on Instagram, everywhere. Caitlin Clark suffered a groin injury. It has now been 7 days. Big thing is, Doc, this is the next game is the Commissioner's Cup. So that's basically like the in-game, in season tournament for WNBA. So that's the next game tomorrow. They haven't fully ruled her out yet. 7 days from the initial groin. Tell me your thoughts on Caitlin Clark.
All I'm saying is groin injuries are not day-to-day. We're 2 a week already. I think it proves our point. It's not day-to-day. It's at least in the week-to-week category, right? It's been a week. I don't know the importance of the Commissioner Cup in the WNBA. I think the important money.
Yeah.
In what way? They get a prize money?
They get a lot. These girls get a lot of prize money from that, more than they would get from other places.
Girls, you might get in trouble for that one.
These women, I apologize. But they have to go overseas and get a lot of extra money from playing over there. So it's a big tournament to win because they get extra money for all the players.
You think Caitlin Clark cares about that?
No, she has an endorsements that probably pays for everything. But
the Fever want her back for the season and to win for the season
title. Yeah,
they're not going to push her on this. Not that I think she's tough. She plays through, and she came back pretty quickly from the quad. I think she's tough. She's got the mentality.
Are the 2 injuries related, Doc? The quad and the groin?
Injuries beget injuries.
Yes. Okay.
I'd have to say there's some relation. Is it a direct straight line relationship? Not necessarily, but injuries beget injuries. Compensation.
And when she does,
I got another text. I should keep answering texts here. It's not from Howard Balzer.
Absolutely.
It's one was from Rodney Harrison because I congratulate him on the Hall of Fame or the Chargers stuff.
It's
The other
all
one
the
is another podcast guest, Tom Telesco. He says he's on vacation. How about when camp opens?
There you go. What does he do now when you are you just hanging out with family, or does he do little consulting stuff with teams? Do they call him to help
I don't know.
out?
We'll find out on the podcast.
Yes, you're right. One, I wanted to ask you, Doc, are you worried about Rap Sheet taking your job? I did saw a couple days ago, Griffin Canning, Mets pitcher, suffered an injury. He did call the injury, and he made sure to write on that tweet, and he was right? So,
well, he didn't say what it was, but he was implying
yeah,
what it was. And I think I gave him credit. Rap Sheet's my guy.
Yeah.
Look, it's a free country. Like, why can't he? I just can I get some trade news? Can I break news on the Jalen Ramsey trade next time? I mean, if he's gonna do injury stuff now, but this just goes to show. Even back in the day when I started, I think Ian was a little dubious of what we could do based on video, and now he's joining the fray.
Yeah.
It was on his beloved Mets. No, it's all good.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I just want to break some other news then. I don't know. Just, it's all good.
I have a beast of the week for you, Doc. Our friend Doug from the company gave us multiple videos of the power slap competition that happened this week. And your big thing was, is there a freaking concussion protocol? And I'm not sure.
I just asked the question. I mean, if the whole point is to concuss somebody, do they have a concussion protocol? I don't know.
I don't either, Doc.
I don't know what concussion protocol they have. I mean, Dana White is a very smart guy.
Absolutely.
I think that they're going to have some sort of concussion protocol. My assumption is they've got it lawyered up where this entity, because you don't think they're open to potential lawsuits down the road? I don't know, of like,
they're signing something before, right? They have to, just to protect. I don't know.
I don't know the legalities. I'm just asking the question. I'm not hating, whatever. I'm just saying, man, that's brutal. I mean, if the whole point is to knock someone out, I think it's fair to ask, what is their concussion protocol?
Yeah, you're right. All right, Doc.
They're beasts. They're beasts. I mean, I know there's rules. It's open hand and this, that, the other, but
it doesn't matter. That hurts still.
Oh, I'm sure it hurts.
Yeah.
And one thing that I will say, and I don't know what the rules are, you may educate me. The guys, are there rules like if you get knocked sideways, are you out, or you have to knocked off your stride? What are the rules?
You got 60 seconds to deliver a slap, it says here.
And how do you declare a winner?
Fights which do not end in a knockout go 3 rounds to a judge's decision. So you get knocked out. Those being slapped may not flinch, raise their shoulder, or tuck in their chins. After being slapped, a slap competitor then has 60 seconds to recover before they get back into position. And if they don't get back into position, they are considered knocked out.
Okay. I'm going to say something
here, but also slaps must be below the eye, but above the chin without leading with the palm, such that all hand to face contact takes place at the same time. All hand to face contact. Yeah.
Okay.
Say something. Yeah, go on. Sorry.
So the little bit of power slap that I see, the guy sits there and tries to take it. The smarter thing might be is close your eyes and meditate and let the slap knock you across the room. If all you have to do is get up in 60 seconds.
Okay.
Because if you're standing firm, you're absorbing all the energy. You want the energy to dissipate. It's kind of like, how often do we see you got jacked NFL hit where the guy goes head over heels and looks like he's dead?
Yep.
But he shakes it off and he's okay.
Once a week.
Whereas you take on the blow and you take on the big blow and you break something or you get injured.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's the old drunk driver walks away because they're a rag doll.
Mm-hmm.
And the other passengers die because they're taking the energy. I don't know if it's part of the rules, but the power slap guys might want to look into just instead of I'm tough guy taking it, just
go to a happy place, right?
Let the next snap, let everything take the energy. I don't know.
Well, you've been a doctor for X Games, rugby.
And I've never even seen Power Slap live. I've only seen little video.
You might need to get invited. You might be have to be the next doctor of Power Slap.
That'll be the new technique. Go limp, wet noodle ragdoll, get knocked across the room, and then get up. You probably lose the decisions
because you're getting points taken off. But like you said, you have 60 seconds to recover. So
yeah, but you might win if you can knock you. You won't get. You're less likely to get knocked out, I think, if you're not tensing. But whatever.
Science.
I don't want to try out that theory.
Neither do I. All right, that's all I had, Doc. Anything else you want to add to this episode?
No, all good.
Episodes brought by SickBix, premium betting built by our injury analytics. Go to sickscore.com/picks to sign up. Okay.
Yeah, and I think we've had 5 straight years at 55%.
There you go.
Against the closing line spread for NFL. All right, thanks for watching, listening. Off season, we'll get some more guests lined up, and thank you, Howard Balzer, for chiming in there, and anyone else. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you.